This episode of Another Great Day is brought to you by seahorses. Sea cowboys love them. Seehaw!
Too early on that, I'm sorry.
I know, it's good, it's good. Hello, everybody. It's Monday, March 25th, 2024. I am Aaron, and this is my rip-roaring, seahorse-riding co-host, Chris.
I snuck that in there. I rewrote yeehaw to seehaw. I thought that was really
It's really good, Chris.
really eye-rolly. I don't know the right word. Really down there in the dad joke land.
Boy.
It's just the bottom of the barrel.
Some dad just got his wings. Every time we make a dad joke, a dad gets his wings. Well, welcome back to Another Great Day podcast. It's a beautiful, wonderful, gloomy, sunny, happy Monday, wherever you are. And we're glad you joined us. You got a lot of options out there in podcast land, and we're glad you're spending it with us.
You know what we should do? We should create like a little spinny wheel of all the weather and say, we declare it is cloudy.
Today is cloudy. Today is thundery. Well, this podcast is designed rather to encourage interaction, creativity, and conversation. And if you like those three things, well then buckle up, buddy, because you're in for it. All right.
Click.
Yeah, click. Just like at Six Flags, they got to make sure that magical bar that keeps you from being launched out of the roller coaster is on your lap. Yeah. Well, speaking of roller coasters, you're fine. Physics will keep you in. Well, speaking of physics, actually, let's talk about bad movie descriptions.
Oh. Wait.
That's our first Monday bit.
I have a new song for this. Here it is.
Ooh, and now the music bed. In a world where two podcasters have the guts to speak about movies poorly, we bring to you bad movie descriptions.
This is it.
That's
We're here.
awesome. I love that music bed, and you'll hear that, hopefully, Lord willing, every Monday going forward. So, Chris, do you have a movie you'd like to poorly describe for us and our audience today?
I do. I used pen and paper.
Ah, yes. The old quill and ink bottle that you keep
That's right.
nearby.
Okay, you ready for this?
I am ready, dear sir.
All right, everybody. This is mainly for adults, but you might have experienced some bit of this culture in your life. All right. A man leaves a video game. A man enters the video game. And a man is the video game.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Is this Wreck-It Ralph?
Oh, no, that's a great guess.
Dang.
And I'm poorly describing video game. I really just mean software, but it's like a video game.
Is this none other than the early 2000s psychological action movie known as The Matrix?
It is The Matrix, yeah.
Dude, excellent bad movie description. I feel like I was Bill and Ted just now. Another Keanu ride there for you.
That's right.
All right, that was good. You know, they talked about the world, on the world and everything in it. They talked about The Matrix and how it has aged well.
Oh,
with
yeah.
Our human dependency on technology.
Interesting.
Very interesting indeed. Shout out to the World and Everything in It podcast. Okay, here you go, Chris. Let's see if you can get this one. A young lady struggles with her feelings.
Oh.
Do you know this one?
No. I might know now that I'm thinking about it, but that also describes almost every movie where there's people in it.
It doesn't describe Air Bud or Jaws. So other than those two movies,
most movies have people trying to figure out what they're feeling. It's at least some degree.
her inner monologue is controlled by colorful characters.
Named Amy Poehler?
Maybe. I think you have a guess for me.
I do have a guess. It is Inside Out.
Inside Out. That's right. That glorious Pixar movie with a sequel coming out soon.
Oh, really?
They're introducing a new emotion, anxiety.
Oh.
Because Riley is now going to be a teenager.
Oh,
Riley
no.
was the girl, yeah.
Well, maybe
So-
they can do some constructive thoughts on how to deal with anxiety.
I think we are all cautiously optimistic.
Cool.
So, all right.
I will say my overwhelming feeling of the original movie with a spoiler alert. So if you don't want to hear this, spoiler, if you've never seen it before, you want to watch it on your own.
Yeah, hit the little 15 seconds forward arrow twice.
Or something. Who knows? When the guy is helping her out, like the old
The
memory
imaginary friend
on the sled or whatever it is.
Beat Bop or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Bonky or
And then he like lets her go.
Oh,
man, it's so like
he
teary.
sacrifices himself.
It's so
It's
biblical.
just like Jesus.
It's so good.
Oh.
That story never gets old when someone sacrifices for someone else.
Gets me right in the feels every time.
So
Awesome. Well, all right. Well, if you've seen Inside Out, let us know what you think because we're definitely fans. And that will bring us to This Day in History. The year was 1634, Chris. Do you know what happened in 1634? Some people were born. Some people died.
Trees
People
were growing.
ate. Yeah, trees were growing. The wind was blowing. No, the settlement of Maryland was established.
Maryland.
Yeah, that's right. Have you ever been to? Never mind. Forget that question. Yeah, the first colonists to Maryland arrived at St. Clement's Island on Maryland's western shore.
I want to pause a second. You're saying Maryland. It's spelled Maryland.
Maryland.
As if it was the land of Mary.
Yeah, it's difficult because they found the settlement. The settlement was St. Mary's. That was the settlement.
Like
Yeah.
Mary, the mother of Jesus.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
So this is the Mary Mother of Jesus land.
I think they maybe they don't go by that officially.
That long title. I never knew that. So
Isn't that
thank you for that
interesting?
new information.
Well, so it's weird how you pronounce things because, we live up here in North Texas and people always say Denton. And it's kind of like a slur, like not a slur, but you just casually, lazily say Denton.
Oh,
but it's
yeah.
actually Denton.
There's no T. Yeah.
Denton is where we live.
I've always heard the city of Houston in New York, there's one street that goes all the way to a bridge, I'm pretty sure, like in the south part of Manhattan. They call it Houston Street.
Houston?
It's spelt house.
Oh, my goodness.
H-O-U-S.
Don't even get me started on
Yeah.
the English language. Well, real quick, before we get too crazy, listen to this. In the year 1632, 2 years before, King Charles I of England granted a charter to George Calvert, the first Lord Baltimore. You might recognize that name
Lord
from
Baltimore.
the city of Baltimore. There are ravens there, yielding him proprietary rights to a region east of the Potomac River in exchange for a share of the income derived from the land. The territory was named Maryland in honor of Henrietta Maria, the queen consort of Charles. So it actually was not named after Mary, the mother of Jesus.
Okay, so somebody else.
It was named after his wife.
Oh, okay. The
Yeah.
king's wife.
Yeah, so like
So the king was making a new land and saying,
you would have made Shannon land. I would have made
yes.
Denise land.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so there we go. Wes would have made Darby land. But yeah, it was named after her. And before the settlement began, George Calvert actually died and was succeeded by his son Cecilius, who
Wait,
sought.
what?
Yeah, his son Cecilius, who sought to establish Maryland as a haven for our Roman Catholics who were being persecuted in England. Isn't that interesting?
Interesting.
Yeah, so they came over here, and in 1634, the first English settlers, a selected group of Catholics and Protestants, arrived at St. Clement's Island aboard these two boats called the Ark and the Dove.
Oh,
Yes,
biblical.
indeed. How about that? So there's a little history of Maryland.
Maryland.
Well, Chris, that'll do it for This Day in History and bring us to the discussion question of the day. And that's the word of wisdom music.
It is.
Normally, our friend Fred's playing piano during the discussion question of the day.
I'll call Fred over.
I want him to be employed gainfully. Fred, fire it up. There we go.
There's Fred.
That's some live editing on the fly.
We
That's
got
all right.
it.
We're having fun here. All right. Chris, here's the question of the day. This is a deep one. Are you sitting down?
I'm sitting.
Have you ever been to Maryland?
Yes.
When and why did you go there?
So you can pause this in the car if you're with people. You can ask them if they've ever been to Maryland before,
And if they don't know what Maryland is, you can explain it.
or
Rewind the show.
you could just
A
make
couple
up.
minutes.
You could just make up some stuff about Maryland.
Yeah.
I've I've been to Maryland, I think only the airport in Baltimore as a connecting flight.
Interesting. So that was your stay.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I've been to Charlotte in that way. Connected in an airport.
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yep. It's a
All
great
right.
place.
Have you been to Maryland?
Yeah, so thanks for asking, Chris. Yes, I have. And the reason I use that for this day in history is because we have some beloved family in Maryland. So Maryland is a special place to the Power and Burrell and Henderson and who else
Your
is
families?
out there. Yeah, I'm trying to not forget Pattersons.
You don't have to say all their names.
I have to. No, I've already forgotten most of them.
It's out of their privacy. You don't have to.
Sorry. Fellow humans. But yeah, I got to tell a quick story, okay?
All right.
So I told this to my kids, and they got a kick out of it. So Denise's aunt and uncle live up there in Annapolis area. That's a pretty broad area. Very beautiful. We went up there for our first anniversary ever. We went crabbing, and they took us out on the water on the Cape. It was really pretty.
I'm going to pretend that I know what crabbing is. I'm pretty sure you go onto the beach and like get on your back and then put your arms down and legs down and like walk a lot and crab walk on the beach.
That is not where I thought you were going with that. That's hilarious. No.
Like you do the silly crab walk all over the beach, and it's called crabbing.
That sounds exhausting.
Let's go crabbing.
No, this is where you hang little pieces of raw chicken tied to strings off of the end of a pier, and you let crabs start nibbling on them, and then you gently pull them up so that you can later boil them or cook them however you'd like.
And have like a crab boil.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Different
that's crabbing. Indeed. Not to be confused with grabbing, because that's when you like reach a hold of someone.
You grab a crab?
You grab a crab. Anyways, Denise's Uncle Pete, who's hilarious. Shout out Uncle Pete if you're listening. He has a joke. He goes, I was talking to Denise and nephew. He calls me nephew. Because it's his niece.
Oh, man.
Denise and nephew.
That's great.
So
that is
hey, that's 2 dad jokes already. We're not even to the dad joke section of the show. Well, if you've ever been to Maryland and you want to tell us about it, let us know.
Some of our friends have been, and you probably went to the race with our friend Darby.
Oh, that's right.
In Maryland.
And we saw Aunt Karen and Uncle Pete
there.
there.
Go. Yeah,
that's
we have
great.
Recent visits to that land, except for I did not get to go that time.
Oh, that's okay. We missed you.
Someday I'll have crab.
You will have crab.
Someday.
Oh, it's out there. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the part of our show we like to call the dad joke of the day. All right, here is a dad joke because we've given Wes a well-deserved break. He'll be back next week, though, for those of you who are asking. Don't worry. All right, here goes the joke, Chris.
What you got?
When I was a kid, my dad got fired from his job as a road worker for theft. I refused to believe he could do such a thing, but when I got home, the signs were all there. Yep, that's it.
Oh.
Ba-doom.
Oh, man.
Yes, indeed. And that
Wow.
is the joke. All right, Chris, you ready for the last part of our show?
I'm not sure I can carry on.
Think you can.
We can do it.
All right, and now on to our newest segment called The Story of the True Hero. Chris, where are we now in this story?
We're in Mark chapter 2. We're at the beginning of chapter 2. We've heard a little bit about the chapter 1, which was Jesus being born, being announced by John the Baptist, and starting to do some miracles.
Yep.
Starting to teach.
That's right.
He went to some villages. And then, here it is in chapter 2, he goes back home to Capernaum. This is where his current home is.
Cool.
So let's read here.
Get it.
I'll go, and I can just point to you if I want you to read, or whatever.
I'll be watching with wide eyes.
All right, verse 1, chapter 2 says, Jesus went back again to Capernaum after a few days, and word got round that he was at home. A crowd gathered so that people couldn't even get near the door as he was telling them the message, the gospel. A party arrived, 4 people carrying a paralyzed man, bringing him to Jesus. They couldn't get through to him because of the crowd, so they opened up the roof above where he was.
Wow.
When they had dug through it, they used ropes to let down the stretcher, which the paralyzed man was lying on. Jesus saw their faith and said to the paralyzed man, "Child, your sins are forgiven.
How dare the fellow speak like this? Grumbled some of the legal experts among themselves. It's blasphemy. Who can forgive sins except God? Well, Jesus knew at once in his spirit that thoughts like this were in the air. Why do your hearts tell you to think that? He asked. Answer me this, he went on. Is it easier to say to this cripple, your sins are forgiven? Or to say, get up, pick up your stretcher and walk? You want to know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins? He turned to the paralytic. I tell you, he said, get up, take your stretcher and go home. He got up, picked up the stretcher in a flash, and went out before all of them. Everyone was astonished, and they praised God. We have never seen anything like this, they said. And that's it for our section of the gospel reading today.
So I have some words.
Hit me.
I've been reading a lot about Mark and trying to get all these things in my brain. I want to know more about Jesus. So I'm diving into it.
A very worthy endeavor.
This is some things I've learned. I did not realize this was Jesus' house, home.
What?
Like where he was at.
He was
Temporarily or all the time living there. It says he went home.
Oh. Wow.
Like, that was his roof.
Oh, dear.
Like, or the people he was with's roof. I assume as a 30-year-old man or whatever he was, he had some kind of permanent or semi-permanent place to live to do his job. Because he was also a carpenter. Like, he was living a human life.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't think how much Jesus was dealing with. He could have had the regular human emotions of, don't mess up the roof.
He was probably thinking, this is why we can't have nice things.
I don't know.
Ling.
I don't know about that. But it was just one thing.
He was not thinking that.
And he didn't respond that way.
No, he sure didn't.
And then a second thing is...
I think he was more irritated by the Pharisees than he was by them breaking a hole in the roof.
So the second thing, this is a version of... a mini version of the whole gospel. So I'm reading from a book I've got. It's kind of a Bible study on Mark. And it says this is Jesus is teaching, then he's healing, and then Jesus is condemned for blasphemy. Then Jesus vindicated, and then the paralyzed man's healing points forward to a new life that Jesus himself will have in the resurrection and that everyone will share with. Everyone who wants it will share. This is like a miniature picture of the gospel.
Mind blown.
It is crazy. I was like, I don't know why this is so many things about the Bible are so beautiful.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So that I just wanted to highlight that. And I also want that I want to not be, I don't know the right word. I've always been kind of afraid of parts of the Bible that I just don't have the ability to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to get over that. So I'm diving in. I'm trying to just kind of plod through and be like, what is this? And I'm using this Bible study thing and reading other stuff. I just kind of want to get in it.
That's great.
And figure it out.
Hey,
so,
journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. So
that's
good job.
where we are for me. I am currently. So
well, good job. And thank you for listening, everybody. And with that, let's hit the music and call it a day. Yep. Our mission here on Another Great Day podcast is to encourage interaction, creativity, and conversation.
And if you enjoy this, please rate and review us and share this out there on the internets.
Yes, help us beat that internet.
And if you want to do anything else, we suggest that the most important thing you might do is make it another
great day. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm gonna cut a hole in your roof today, Chris.
No.
Drop through. Surprise!
You're supposed to check my roof. It's for hail.